Welcome back to the Professor's Lab. I'm Professor V, and this is round 3 of our league tournament that happened at Die Hard Games on November 7th, 2024. If you didn't know, Die Hard League happens every Thursday at 6 p.m. Central, featuring casual and tournament play of whatever format everyone wants. League Challenge, Thursday, November 21st at 6 p.m., and League Cup, Saturday, November 23rd at 11 a.m. all Central Time, all at Die Hard Games. Go see more info in this video's description and check out Pokemon's event locator for premiere and other events at the shop, such as League Challenges, League Cups, pre-releases, and more. Please hit that like button right quick, subscribe to this channel, ring the bell for notifications, say what you need to say in the comments, and all that other good free stuff. But anyways, let's research this game. Over on the left, we've got Dragapult. On the right, Roaring Moon EX. It looks like our Dragapult player has a mulligan to take here. That's why we're seeing that card drawn, the cards revealed, and the game gets started here. I think this player actually just pulled this League Squawkabilly EX this night, so the judge let him swap it out right quick. No problem, as they play an Earthen Vessel, discarding a card in order to search their deck for up to 2 basic energy, 2 darkness pulled out of the deck and then instantly discarded with Ultra Ball in order to search the deck for a Roaring Moon EX to put onto the bench. Now, darkness energy in the discard pile is good because it can be accelerated with Dark Patch and Professor Sada's Vitality. We still have the Squawkabilly EX, Squawk and Seize ability to use. So that's what we're going for. Discard the hand and draw 6 fresh new cards. Can only use it on your first turn. Pokestop is now put into play, as well as a second Roaring Moon EX. Next is Nest Ball. That item has the player look through their deck for a basic Pokemon to add to the bench. And let's add that support Radiant Greninja to the bench with its powerful Concealed Cards ability. Discard an energy, draw 2 card. Very good for getting those energy, like we talked about, in the discard pile, as well as being more consistent and seeing more cards. So there we go, discard an energy, draw 2 cards with the Radiant Greninja. Trekking Shoes, look at the top card. You can keep it or discard it and draw 1 more. It found another Trekking Shoes, so we're playing another one. Look at the top card, keep it or discard it. It was a Night Stretcher, so our player's consulting a discard pile just to get rid of it and draw 1 more card. Petron EX is found and put onto the bench. Now we are seeing the Pokestop Stadium being used. Discard the top 3 cards of the deck and put any item cards to your hand discarded in this way. Dark Patch is found and added to the hand. Had to discard a couple other cards, but I guess that's okay to accelerate an energy from the discard pile to one of your bench Darkness Pokemon with that Dark Patch. Roaring Moon EX is starting to get powered up here on the bench. No energy attachment in hand, sadly, for the turn, so things are passed over to our Dragapult player with a Dreepy in the active spot, staring down the demon dragon across from it as a Buddy Buddy Poffin is played over on the left hand side. On their first turn, that item card allows them to search their deck for up to 2 basic Pokemon with 70 HP or less to put onto the bench. Maybe we'll see another Dreepy and a Pidgey. Maybe a Pidgey or a Dreepy and a Dewskull. Just depends on what kind of build of Dragapult this is, as we do see the Dreepy and Dewskull found and put onto the bench. Doesn't look like this is a Pidgeot base build. All aggression here, as another Buddy Buddy Poffin is played to find a couple more 70 HP or less basic Pokemon to add to the bench. This is good because it allows our player to search their deck for the first time as well and try to determine what resources are in deck and what is prized. Single Dewskull found off of that second Buddy Poffin here. We must have another Dreepy in hand, and there it is, onto the bench now. We are getting the full setup here, as the player now plays an Arven as a supporter for turn. That supporter card has the player search their deck for an item card and a tool card to add to the hand. Now, I didn't catch if yes, it is Sparkling Crystal, a spec tool card, is in deck but they're actually going to go for this Forest Seal Stone now as the tool card and an Ultra Ball as the item card. Usually the stone is paired with a Rotom V, but we'll have to see how this player's turn continues to develop here as they're shuffling things up after resolving the Arven. Anybody going to LAIC this weekend? Let me know in the comments. I'll be watching from home for sure, as a Psychic Energy is attached to a bench Dreepy to power it up for next turn, and actually just a pass of the turn. Interesting. I wonder why they grabbed that Forest Seal Stone there over the Sparkling Crystal. Either way, our player on the right-hand side, Roaring Moon EX, starts their turn off with a Pokestop, discarding the top 3 cards of the deck, finding 2 item cards there to add to hand, Earthen Vessel and Pokemon Catcher. Now they're going to play an Earthen Vessel, discarding a card in order to search the deck for up to 2 basic energy cards to put into the hand. Double Darkness Energy found here. Of course, that's the only type this deck plays. I believe you can play sometimes some energy switches and water energy to power up that Radiant Greninja attack, but I prefer the straight, consistent darkness routes. Lots of darkness decks being captured on this night, huh? Alright, 2 darkness energy added to the hand there to fuel Radiant Greninja's concealed cards, discard an energy, draw 2. Will we see an attack this turn? We have a manual attachment. A Roaring Moon our Roaring Moon Baby is put onto the bench here. Darkness energy attached from hand to the Roaring Moon EX. Petulant uses Subjugating Chains in order to move a Darkness Pokemon from the bench to the active spot, and then it's poisoned. So more of a passive turn here for our Roaring Moon player, just putting the 1 prize in the active spot, missing the attack per turn, and passing things over to our Dragapult player on the left-hand side. Let's see if they can take advantage of this hiccup here as they evolve into Dracloak on the bench, giving it the Recon Directive ability, and it's being used now. Look at the top 2 cards. Put one of them at the bottom of the deck and the other in your hand. That Dracloak ability on the bench being used here. Switch, and I didn't catch what the other card was exactly. We do have a Dragapult this turn. But yeah, I don't think grabbing the Sparkling Crystal last turn would have changed much here. Let's see what our player decides off of this difficult Recon Directive. Aha. I think it was Switch and Lumineon. You kind of needed both to get an attack off this turn, but I guess the Lumineon can find Arven and really unlock the hand. So Rare Candy allows that Dreepy to evolve straight into the Dragapult EX on the bench. Now Lumineon V is being played from hand to the bench, activating its Luminous Sign ability. When you take those actions, you could search your deck for a supporter card to add to hand, thanks to that powerful Lumineon V ability. Our player is going straight for that Arven, so no punishment for the decisions last turn. It potentially could have been a little bit cleaner here with no Lumineon being benched if I'm thinking of things correctly, but never punished, right? So our player is resolving Arven now, I believe, in order to search the deck for an item and a tool, and they're actually going to go for that Rescue Board as the tool card. And okay, this is fine here, and the item is the Earthen Vessel to find the required fire energy to power up Dragapult's attack that costs a fire and a psychic. Rescue Board goes on to the active Dreepy, giving it -1 to its retreat cost. Virtually has free retreat now. Next is a League Earthen Vessel. You guys know what that item card does. Discard a card and search your deck for up to 2 basic energy. One for sure will be the fire energy required to power up the bench Dragapult's attack. And the other can be fire or psychic. Really just depends on what's in hand, what's in deck. Gonna go for one of each here. Balance, as all things should be. And with this, we have the Dragapult Phantom Dive attack guaranteed. Dragapult EX's attack, Phantom Dive, does 200 damage to the opposing active Pokemon, and then you can place 6 damage counters on the opponent's bench Pokemon in any way you like. Fire Energy gets attached to that Dragapult EX. Dreepy retreats into that powered up dragon. Forest Seal Stone gets attached to the Lumineon V, and there we go. This is all working out now. That Forest Seal Stone gives the Pokemon V it's attached to the V-Star power ability, Star Alchemy. When you flip that V-Star marker, you could search your deck for any card. And the card here is going to be another Dracloak to evolve on the bench. Getting a lot closer to that Dragapult EX and making your turns more consistent by allowing you to see more cards with the Recon Directive ability. Ooh, it appears our Dragapult player's deck is firing on all cylinders here after a few missteps or hiccups from our Roaring Moon player on the right. I think we are seeing the second Recon Directive now. Look at the top 2 cards of the deck, put one at the bottom and the other in the hand, and Iono gets added to the hand for next turn. And yeah, it's looking very good for our Dragapult player. Did I say that enough times here? As they use Phantom Dive to KO the active, and then put 3 damage counters on each of the 230 HP Roaring Moon EX on the bench. See what they're doing there with that math? 200 HP remaining on each of those Roaring Moon as Radiant Greninja moves into the active spot, and play resumes over on the right hand side with a Pokestop. Oh, fire Pokestop there. Discarding the top 3, finding 2 Dark Patches. Now we can power up these Roaring Moons, but if the player can get to a quick Dragapult EX, it's lights out for them. Energy gets attached to the bench Roaring Moon, fully powering it up. Oh my gosh, yeah, that actually kind of just really hurts Roaring Moon too. I'll talk about this to you guys right quick. Roaring Moon EX has the Calamity Storm attack as its second attack, but the first one we're going to look at is the Frenzied Gouging. For 3 energy, knock out your opponent's active Pokemon. If your opponent's active Pokemon is knocked out in this way, this Pokemon does 200 damage to itself. So geez, almost just like nail in the coffin for this Roaring Moon EX, putting 3 damage counters on each of them. So if it decides to use its Frenzied Gouging attack to take a KO, it's gonna knock itself out by doing 230 damage to itself, or excuse me, 200 damage to itself, and it has 230 HP. Anyways, another Dark Patch is played to put a Darkness Energy from the discard pile onto the other Roaring Moon on the bench. And let's see how our Roaring Moon player can navigate this difficult situation here. Subjugating Change is used now to move the powered up Roaring Moon into the active spot and poison it. It uses its Frenzied Gouging attack to KO the opposing active, dealing 200 damage to itself, knocking itself out. Radiant Greninja moves back into the active spot, and we're going to see the Dracloak with the rescue board float into the active spot on the left hand side, potentially. Our player's working things out here. It is good to see the 2 prize cards too to better inform your promotion, but usually it's just a free retreater. And play will continue over on Dragapult's side on the left. Aha, we were just missing that EXP share too. It's always the next card. EXP share will preserve a basic energy when the active Pokemon is knocked out, continuing or better helping to chain these Dragapult EX attacks. 4 prize cards to 3 prize cards in this mid game here, as our Dragapult player plays a Nest Ball next to search their deck for a basic Pokemon to put on their bench. Don't really need any more Dreepy here, so something like a support Pokemon, Pheasantipity EX, will be just fine. Its Flip the Script ability is online since there was a KO taken on the opponent's last turn. Not going for it quite yet. They probably want to save it for the other side of this Iono if they decide to play that supporter. And I think you do to disrupt the opponent. So Ultra Ball is played first, discarding 2 cards in order to search the deck for a Pokemon, Basic or Evolution. We are still going to play the Ultra Ball, just really trying to carefully choose the best cards to discard. And actually looking to get rid of that Iono. Aha, yeah. Because the other supporter card in hand is a Crispin, and you kind of need that in order to continue to attack this turn. So first, a Dracloak in the active spot uses its Recon Directive ability to look at the top 2 cards of the deck, put one of them at the bottom and the other in hand. It looked like our player put the Fire Energy on the bottom and kept the Pokemon Catcher, or excuse me, the Counter Catcher. Next, Recon Directive looks at the top 2, puts the Iono at the bottom, and keeps the Dusknoir. Now we're going to play that Ultra Ball. That all the cards were drawn, and potentially better targets could have been found in order to discard. Since we're behind, or ahead on prizes, to get rid of the Counter Catcher, the other Dreepy, in order to search the deck for a Dragapult EX. I imagine we're going to see that get evolved almost instantly. I suppose you evolve the bench one. Yep. Since you've got that Dracloak in the active with the rescue board as a free retreater, but our player seems to disagree and is going to evolve the active. Okay. Doesn't matter too much here. The only thing to consider is Sparkling Crystal. Only one tool card can be attached to a Pokemon unless it says otherwise. But since we're going for this Crispin play here, that new supporter has you search your deck for 2 different basic energy cards, accelerate one to a Pokemon, and put the other energy card into your hand. So let's say a Fire Energy was accelerated from the deck to the active Dragapult EX. The Psychic Energy was found and attached from hand to the Dragapult EX, fully powering it up. There was the supporter played, so there's nothing like a boss's orders that could happen. This deck doesn't play the Prime Catcher. The Counter Catcher's not alive, so Pheasantipede EX uses Flip the Script to draw 3 cards since a KO was taken on the opponent's last turn. Ultra Ball number 2 is played, discarding 2 cards to search the deck for a Pokemon. Could establish a Duskull. What's that one? The stage 1, Dusclops, excuse me. Duskull evolves into Dusclops, giving the player access to a 5 damage counter Curse Blast now. And can they have game this turn? No, they can only get 110 damage somewhere on the bench. That's very close, almost just checkmating the game here. So now it looks like it's finally time for Dragapult EX to Phantom Dive, KO the active with 200 damage, and then put 6 damage counters on the benched Squawkabilly EX. Not really too much our Roaring Moon player can do here. Potentially get Petron EX attacking and involved, but they're just gonna use a Professor Sada's Vitality first to accelerate a Darkness Energy from the discard pile to the Ancient Roaring Moon EX in play, and then draw 3 cards. Energy attached from hand to that Roaring Moon. Are they going out on their terms here? Double Dark Patch actually accelerating 2 Darkness Energy to the bench Petron EX. Now let's check out Petron EX's attack. Irritating Outburst 60 times. This attack does 60 damage for each prize card your opponent has taken. So is that Do some quick maths here. 60 times 4 is 240. Ugh, not enough to KO the opposing 320 HP Dragapult EX. Not looking good. So we'll just chill in the professor's lab and see what our player does here. It looks like they're kind of working things out, maybe seeing the writing on the wall, or they may have something up their sleeve that I'm missing. Either way, glad to watch and see what they do. So there we go, Petron EX, subjugating chains, move that Roaring Moon into the active spot, poison it. Roaring Moon EX then will use its Frenzied Gouging attack to KO the opposing Dragapult EX. It also KOs itself, letting the opponent take the last 2 prize cards of the game. Awesome way to end our tournament here. What'd you think of this video and the commentary? Please leave feedback in the comments. Like this video, subscribe to this channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time in the Professor's Lab.